This is CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
We're just over a third of the way through the Formula One season and things aren't exactly looking good for Ferrari. In fact, did their title hopes just go up in smoke in Azerbaijan? And is the PGA Tour about to implode under pressure from a new breakaway series? Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan finally has his say. Hello there and welcome to World Sport. We're coming to you from CNN Centre. I'm Don Riddell. We're going to start with Formula One and yet another desperately disappointing and dramatic day for Ferrari. The Scuderia began the 2022 season so positively that their fans were dreaming of a first driver's title since 2007. But after the Azerbaijan Grand Prix on Sunday, that dream is fast becoming a nightmare. Ferrari would have had high hopes for this race. Charles Leclerc qualified on pole position, but he was under pressure right from the off. Red Bull's Sergio Perez, who won here last season, surged past Leclerc at the first corner. And there was more bad news in the 8th lap when Ferrari's Carlos Sainz left the race with hydraulic failure. The Red Bulls of Perez and Max Verstappen were really up for it. The Ferrari cars,
they can do, how they can stop this porpoising. It gives you a headache looking at his onboard, I have to say. It's really, really bad. But there are big problems there at Mercedes. And yes, they had 3rd and 4th place today. It was another podium, but they very much took advantage of Ferrari's misfortune. And Lewis Hamilton is not in a good way this evening. That's
not good to hear, but that is great insight from you, Rebecca Clancy. We do appreciate it. Thanks for coming on the show. All right, next up on World Sport, the PGA Tour is rapidly hemorrhaging its top players. What can the Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan do to stop it?
When you dream more, you need to move more. With over 45% of sub-Saharan Africa using mobile money, innovative digital payment solutions are giving people financial freedom. Access FacePay uses AI to make transactions more secure and accessible for over 31 million customers. Access. More than banking.
My name's Pippa Bailey. I work for Ipsos and I'm head of our climate change and sustainability practice. So many companies that we speak to struggle with, how to talk about sustainability, how to share the great campaigns that they're doing. And there's kind of a number of guidelines people need to follow. First of all, making sure you've got your own house in order, that your own environment, social and governance policies are heading in the right direction before you then go kind of on the offensive with a campaign where you want to illustrate what great work you're doing. But also to kind of avoid greenwashing is making sure that that really fits under the brand banner, that it represents what your brand is about, so that it feels very intuitive for consumers, for citizens.
We've missed the globetrotting and adventures, and we're longing to get out and go.
This is living.
Uncovering a city's DNA.
Look at that.
Meeting people who will share its secrets.
It's going to be very cold.
And making discoveries that wow.
We're not doing that again.
It's a world of wonder.
Gorgeous.
Now, go and see it. Saturday on CNN, in association with Turkish Airlines.
Well, again, within the past few days, a new series has sent shockwaves across the professional golf landscape, and it's already clear that the sport will never be the same again. The Live Golf Series, which is being supported by billions of dollars from the government of Saudi Arabia, played its inaugural event near London. The players involved were immediately suspended by the PGA Tour, where they had plied their trade for many years. Those players might not be too bothered about that, though. Charles Schwartzel, the winner on Saturday, banked $4.75 million for just 3 days' work. That's as much as he had won in the last 4 years on the PGA Tour. As talk of a civil war in the sport looms, the PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan is coming under intense pressure. How can he protect his own tour? How can he maintain the integrity of his tour when so many top names are being tempted by eye-watering bundles of cash. During the Canadian Open on Sunday, Monahan explained to the CBS host Jim Nantz why he's taking such a hard line on these rebel players.
Why do they need us so badly? Because those players have chosen to sign multi-year lucrative contracts to play in a series of exhibition matches against the same players over and over again. You look at that versus what we see here today, and that's why they need us so badly. You've got true, pure competition. The best players in the world here at the RBC Canadian Open, with millions of fans watching. And in this game, it's true and pure competition that creates the profile and the presence of the world's greatest players. And that's why they need us. That's what we do. But we're not going to allow players to free ride off of our loyal members, the best players in the world.
The story is going to run and run, isn't it? Meanwhile, some delightful golf news. It has been an historic weekend on the DP World Tour. For the first time ever, a female player won an event, the Scandinavian Mixed Tournament in Sweden. In this event, 78 men and 78 women, all competing for the first prize of $330,000, but they were playing from different tees. Sweden's Linn Grant closed out with a round of 64 and just crushed the field, winning by 9 strokes. The 22-year-old has already won twice on the LPGA Tour, but this is arguably the biggest win of her young career.
I mean, it's just, it's a nice feeling. The whole week I just felt like it's the girls against the guys, and whoever picks up that trophy is the, represent the field. And I just hope that people recognize women's golf, more sponsors go to LET than to the men's tour, and just hopefully this pumps up the women's game a little bit more.
What an achievement for Linn Grant, who was an amateur when she played in this event last year. As I mentioned, she was 9 shots better than the second best player and 14 shots ahead of the next female player in the field. Still to come on World Sport, we've got some shock and awe. Which basketball player caused this young fan to drop his jaw in total amazement?
Almost all carbon emissions come from industries that shape our world. But at Standard Chartered, we believe progress doesn't have to cost our planet. That's why we're mobilizing $300 billion to help our clients change the way they operate, accelerating the transition to a net zero world. Because where others see problems, we see potential. We're Standard Chartered, and we're here for good.
If I have the opportunity to leave the world in a little bit better place than when I got here, then I'm kind of participating in that. So I think it's important, we're being the largest jewelry company out there in volume terms. We have a big role to play and show the way in the industry, and that's what we're doing. So it's not just the right thing to do, that's an important motivator personally, but it's also future-proofing our business, because I do think that at one point consumers will take note whether you're a socially responsible company. We can already see, of course, NGOs are pushing this agenda, but I can also see that the financial community is now starting to raise the bar and require companies that they invest in to have a proper attempt to do some work in the sustainability area.
We're here at the home of one of the FSB team. Was it your team that poisoned Navalny?
What do you want the world to know?
People are so exhausted. Just going to help her carry this bag.
Scores of Taliban fighters, and just behind us, the U.S. Embassy.
I'm the one who has to look them in the eye. Can I have your word? These people are depending on you.
Now they're pressing in. They want desperately to tell their stories.
The grass court season is the shortest of the 3 seasons in tennis, and all of those events are used by the players as a build-up to Wimbledon. However, the All England club's stance on the war in Ukraine and their controversial decision to ban all Russian and Belarusian players means that some of them will not be going to London this summer. Sunday's WTA final in the Netherlands actually featured two players who are both banned from Wimbledon. Russia's Ekaterina Alexandrova thrashed Arina Sabalenka of Belarus to win her first ever grass court title, but she will have to wait until another year to try her luck at Wimbledon. The men's world number 2 will also be watching Wimbledon on television, but Daniil Medvedev could have been a contender at the All England club. Medvedev made it to the final in the Netherlands, where he was stunned by the world number 205, Tim van Rijthoven. It was an absolutely massive upset. The Dutch wildcard coming from nowhere to beat the top seed and win his first ever ATP trophy.
First of all, congrats, team. Yeah, amazing week. I mean, first time in an ATP tournament, and straight away you destroy the number 2 in the world in straight sets in the final. So I think it must be a good feeling. I don't know how it feels, so it must be a good feeling.
I'm sure it is. Elsewhere in Stuttgart, positive signs for the two-time Wimbledon champion Andy Murray, who continues to show that his reconstructed hip will not slow him down. In the last few days, Murray has beaten the world number 5, Stefanos Tsitsipas, and also Nick Kyrgios. And in the final here, he went toe-to-toe with last year's Wimbledon finalist Matteo Berrettini. The Italian took the first set, but Murray fought back, winning the second, 7-5. He's at the bottom of your screen here, and you can see what this all means to him. The reason he's still out there competing is because he loves this sport so much. But in the end, 3 sets was too much. Berrettini, who will be thrilled with this win because he's been out for 3 months. Both men, though, should be feeling good. Wimbledon is now just 2 weeks away. Will Rafael Nadal be at Wimbledon? He is currently on track for a calendar Grand Slam with the Australian Open and French Open titles already to his name. He's also been struggling with injuries this year, but after his win in Paris last Sunday, he's on top of the world. Once the dust had settled from an incredible 14th Roland Garros win, Nadal spoke with CNN's Christiane Amanpour.
There's the cup. I mean, there we have it, the great trophy. 14 times, 22 Grand Slams, a whole load of other, US Open, Australian Open, 2 Olympic gold medals. Are you ready to declare, or at least have people say, that you are now the greatest of all time? You wouldn't agree when I asked you last time.
I honestly don't think much about that. And from the bottom of my heart, I really don't care that much, I mean, I think it doesn't matter. I think we achieved our dreams. I achieved my dream, and I enjoy what I am doing. Yeah, I understand the question, and I know the press and the people is always caring a lot about this stuff. But in some way, I know I am in an important part of the history of the sport, and that makes me feel proud, happy, and at the end, doesn't matter much.
When you came off the court yesterday, in your on-court speech, you said, I never thought that at 36 years old and with all these injuries that I would be in this position. And we see your fingers bandaged like Muhammad Ali after he takes off his boxing gloves. We see your feet and you're limping today. It is an amazing achievement because you yourself said, and you turned to your team saying, I didn't think I would be here. What made you achieve this?
Well, yeah, it's unexpected. Last couple of years have been very difficult. After the pandemic, something happened in my foot, and I am not able to manage the pain to play often and even practice. And in the past, I have a lot of things. Starting from the foot for the first time in 2005, then. Of course, the knees have been a big issue for me for such a long time. Then a couple of times I break my wrists. I don't know, but the only thing that I can say is going through all these probably challenges, I always hold the passion for keep going, and I always hold the love for the game, and I always wanted to keep going. And that's probably why I am in the position that I am today.
When you're in the, I don't know, the Australian Open final and you're 2 sets down and you're playing the guy who won the US Open final, what goes through your mind? Even here, you were, like when you played Felix Auger-Aliassime, I was there, I watched it, and it was very touch and go. What steel trap do you...
On my mind is normal thing that I lose. But if I lose, let the opponent win me, no?
Beat you?
Beat you, exactly.
So they still have to beat you, you're not going to let anything go?
I don't have to lose, you know, I don't have to give, I don't have to put the things easy for the opponent, no? And in my mind is, okay, things are super difficult, but let's keep trying to find a solution, you know? Let's keep trying to find a way to play a little bit better, to make the opponent feel a little bit more uncomfortable. I don't know, just try to fight mentally and in terms of tennis, of course.
You must feel some joy at beating Federer and Djokovic in terms of the Grand Slams. Can you take some joy?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, of course. As I said, of course, I want to be the player with more Grand Slams of the history. That's competition, but it's not something that I am upset at all, and it's not something that honestly changed my mind. No, and
maybe that's how you keep achieving.
You never know, but honestly, it's something that not bothers me if Novak win 23 and I stay with 22. I think my happiness will not change at all, not even a 1%.
Great interview, Rafa Nadal with Christian Amanpour. Okay, there's a lot of big sports events happening in France at the moment. Also this weekend, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, where Toyota scooped an impressive 5th consecutive victory. With more on that, here's our Rolex Minute.
Brendan Hartley, Sebastian Buemi and Ryo Hirakawa took Toyota's 5th consecutive victory at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Buemi started from pole and the two hypercars spent the first 2/3 of the race exchanging the lead. At the 16-hour mark, the number 7 car came to a halt at Arnage after suffering front hybrid system issues and restarted the race 1 lap adrift. The number 8 Toyota went on to secure victory by a margin of just over 2 minutes. Amongst the LMP2s, Jota took a commanding victory in the Oreca Gibson. And with Porsche and Ferrari joining the hypercar ranks next year, the last ever GTE Pro Class win at Le Mans went to the Stuttgart manufacturer.
Some seconds are worth more than others. For instance, take this seat, take this wheel, take this start. Don't take your eye off the curve. Who knows what lies ahead? Take this way in and this way out. Take every opening, every chance. Overtake this one, these two. Take pleasure in the thrill. Take a second. Relax. There are 86,400 for the taking.
The NBA Finals will continue very soon. The blockbuster series between the Warriors and the Celtics is all tied up at 2-2. Game 5 is coming up on Monday. Meanwhile, Zion Williamson hasn't been seen on an NBA court for over a year because of a foot injury, but we know one thing, look at that, he can still dunk. The Pelican star throwing down a thunderous windmill for a group of summer campers, and this is why we're really showing you. Take a look at the youngster. He was just shook by what he saw. What a cute kid, and maybe that is a cue that Zion is finally ready for a comeback. That is it for this edition of World Sport. Thanks so much for your company. I'm Don Riddell at CNN Center. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.
Afghan women are afraid that this is the beginning of your efforts to erase them from the workspace.
It's not clear. Even if we appeal with the burqa, maybe they will say that women's voices are forbidden.
Did you ever imagine that you would be prevented from going to school?
Girls' education is fundamental to the dignity of Afghan life.
Do you believe that young girls will be allowed to go to school here in Afghanistan?
June 20th, a CNN concert event. Let's celebrate, educate, and lift every voice. Juneteenth, a global celebration for freedom. Live from the Hollywood Bowl, only on CNN.
Coronavirus. To get daily news updates in your inbox, sign up for the CNN newsletter. Coronavirus. Fact versus fiction.
I'm Vedika Sood in New Delhi, and this is CNN.
Culinary Journeys, in association with Ajinomoto.
Tokyo is one of the world's leading culinary capitals. It has over 200 Michelin-starred restaurants, more than any other city. But of all those kitchens, by our count, fewer than 10 are run by female head chefs.
In what is said to be a male-dominated society, women have to work much harder than men to be recognized.
For this special episode of Culinary Journeys, we follow a chef on the rise.
To be honest, her dream was to be at the top. She always said that.
One of Asia's best, she's not only innovating in the kitchen, she's also breaking barriers across industries.
I think the achievements she has already left are at a level that no one can match.
This is a story of discovery, strength, and perseverance, despite the odds, as she takes on Japan's traditional culinary world and makes it her own. Down this quiet road, not far from the famous Shibuya crossing in Tokyo, there's an unassuming restaurant with only 6 seats. But nearly every night, it's visited by some of Japan's most high-profile names. This evening is no different. They've come to see the woman running the show.
everything she has appreciation for, she's able to integrate into her, you know, culinary world. She's an artist and a cultural icon.
He's talking about Natsuko Shoji. She is the 32-year-old chef and owner of Ete, an award-winning pastry shop and restaurant combining modern French cooking with fresh and seasonal Japanese ingredients. From brioche to crispy scale tilefish to its famous desserts, dinner is always a cozy and flavorful affair.
One of the ways that she highlights these different characteristics, like the umami and like the subtle characters of different flavors, is by putting together dishes that are very light and refreshing, followed by something that is very powerful.
The deliciousness of the food comes from my training and in the local ingredients I use. But what's more important to me is how the customers are feeling, who they are eating with, the visual, cerebral, and emotional aspects of the meal.
Natsuko celebrates this with her attention to aesthetics. She's active on social media and is known to incorporate her other passions, art and fashion, into her culinary process. In fact, she wants to use these other industries to upgrade the overall value of food.
Art and fashion are globally recognized for their value and worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I think produce is art too. So is the beautiful food cooked by chefs and eaten by our customers. It should be appreciated more.
And those aesthetics are evident at Ete. The restaurant's interior showcases the craftsmanship of many renowned artists on rotation, including the creative force of Mad Saki.
I use spray cans and I basically paint my own personal life, everyday life.
After meeting years ago, Natsuko asked Mad Saki to paint pieces for her restaurant, including this special edition lacquer box used to serve her famous fruit tarts.
I have always wanted to use boxes created by renowned artists. At that time, nobody was doing this. I designed it in detail like a jewelry box. Madsaki showcases his own unique world in his work. He has created art pieces so impressive that everyone can recognize them as his work within seconds.
For Natsuko, sometimes finding artistic inspiration requires her to be out of the kitchen.
Welcome.
On this day, she's catching up with Mad Saki at his studio in southern Tokyo. And it's obvious that they share a mutual respect for one another and their crafts.
Madsaki takes something historical traditional, something that everyone knows, and recreates it into something new. It was a great reference for me.
I think she combined everything, you know, from music to art. It's not just eating, you know, but I get influenced by her. It's a two-way conversation kind of thing. And I think she opened up the whole new, you know, the boundaries, you know.
Natsuko is breathing new life into Japan's traditional culinary landscape. In 2020, she won the award for Asia's Best Pastry Chef. Today, she's setting her ambitions even higher. And not for the reasons you may think.
We have to get results. Through awards, you get more attention from the public, and the way that people look at you changes.
The pandemic reminded us of how important diet is to health. That's why the Ajinomoto Group is committed to solving health issues around the world at the dinner table. A real solution means never settling for less.
ถึงแม้ว่าจะต้องลดความเค็มในอาหารลงแต่เราก็ต้องไม่ละทิ้งความอร่อยเราต้องการให้ทุกท่านได้เพลิดเพลินกับรสชาติความอร่อยของอาหารไปพร้อมกับสุขภาพที่ดี
A saúde é importante, mas queremos considerar também o legado do sabor regional. Como podemos melhorar o balanço nutricional, mantendo o respeito à cultura gastronômica? Esse é o nosso desafio.
Tempat yang jauh pun bukan masalah. Kami selalu bisa menyediakannya. Kami terus mengupayakan dunia di mana siapapun bisa mengakses makanan bergizi dimanapun mereka berada.
We're here to provide nutritious meals to the entire world without compromising on taste, local ways of life, or accessibility, because that is nutrition without compromise.
Eat well, live well.
Chef Natsuko Shoji's career started with a cream puff.
I made a lot at home in junior high school and gave it to my friends. They were so happy. They said, "You should run a cream puff shop." That was the reason why I entered this industry.
Getting to the top is challenging, and for Natsuko it was especially tough. She faced obstacle after obstacle and needed mentors along the way. One of them is Shohei Shimono, the chef and owner of the French restaurant Arnu.
I met Natsuko when I first became a chef around 15 or 16 years ago.
He has been watching over me since I was a high school student, so he understands my personality.
In high school, and for some time after graduation, Natsuko trained with Shohei, doing everything from prepping food, cleaning, to cooking.
Looking back on those days, I was so busy. I would peel chestnuts and prep food on the train commuting to work. On my days off, I made staff meals at home and brought them to work. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to catch up. Perhaps that's why people thought I was quite a serious person.
She was pretty stoic for someone so young. It's a tough industry. She never complained or said she wanted to quit. I thought she had guts.
Today, Natsuko catches up with Shohei while helping him prep seasonal Hana-san sho, Japanese pepper, and sunsai, wild vegetables.
It's well known that Natsuko is an unusual person. I don't think anyone at the restaurant thought Natsuko was normal.
You could say I was really enthusiastic, and all I could think about was cooking 24 hours a day. But thanks to the hardship from those days, I can overcome most things now.
That mentality helped Natsuko rise quickly in the culinary world. In 2009, she became sous chef at the 2 Michelin-star Tokyo restaurant, Florilège. But for the young chef, tragedy struck early.
My father died when I was training, and I couldn't even be at his deathbed because I put work first. When I had the chance to look at myself, I thought I would do the same thing to my mother. That scared me, and I left the industry for a while.
It took a friend to bring her back. A friend who was getting married and who had asked Natsuko to bake her wedding cake.
They were very pleased, and for me, that feeling I had when I first made the cream puffs in junior high came back. I wanted to cook again.
And she did. She opened her own pastry shop, Ete.
This was the first Ete shop, which opened in 2014, before it became a restaurant. Back then, it was a pastry shop, and there was a white marble counter in the middle where I prepared cakes and entertained customers. We use it for storage now.
This is Natsuko's mum, one of her biggest champions over the years.
I don't think there's anyone psychologically stronger than my mother. At my father's funeral, she didn't cry, and I haven't seen her cry since. With Ete, usually other families would get mad if their daughter suddenly told them they were going to take out a loan to open a store. They would worry, but my mum left me alone. I think my mother always looked at the bigger picture.
I didn't expect she would open a restaurant. She didn't discuss it with me and just went ahead with it. She has a strong will of her own.
Natsuko's strength has been tested. Not long after opening Ete, she was diagnosed with cancer.
I lost my father to that kind of illness, but I was so unconcerned about myself. I didn't have the money to spend on me, but when I opened Ete, friends told me to go get checked out. In the second year, the hospital called to say I was in the early stages of cervical cancer.
Luckily, she was able to have the surgery and stayed at the hospital for a couple of days. She was back at work right away.
My mother and I don't really discuss it, so I don't know if she's proud of me. But I was on the cover of a cake catalogue once and saw that she had 20 copies of it, so I think maybe she is.
I am very proud of her. It's amazing that she has been able to grow her store so much that she now has 3 employees and is able to support them in their lives. Since I gave birth to her, I have considered Natsuko her own person. She meets many good people and all of them support her. Those encounters are the most precious for her, and I think they make her who she is now.
Overcoming challenge after challenge, Natsuko's resilience and strength shines through in her successes, in and outside the kitchen.
The pandemic reminded us of how important diet is to health. That's why the Ajinomoto Group is committed to solving health issues around the world at the dinner table. A real solution means never settling for less.
ถึงแม้ว่าจะต้องลดความเค็มในอาหารลงแต่เราก็ต้องไม่ละทิ้งความอร่อยเราต้องการให้ทุกท่านได้เพลิดเพลินกับรสชาติความอร่อยของอาหารไปพร้อมกับสุขภาพที่ดี
A saúde é importante, mas queremos considerar também o legado do sabor regional. Como podemos melhorar o balanço nutricional, mantendo o respeito à cultura gastronômica? Esse é o nosso desafio.
Tempat yang jauh pun bukan masalah. Kami selalu bisa menyediakannya. Kami terus mengupayakan dunia di mana siapapun bisa mengakses makanan bergizi dimanapun mereka berada.
We're here to provide nutritious meals to the entire world without compromising on taste, local ways of life, or accessibility, because that is nutrition without compromise.
Eat well, live well.
Our mission here at CNN, the news comes first.
More breaking news that we are following right now. Welcome to the Situation Room. We have breaking news.
Being a female chef in Japan isn't easy. It's a male-dominated industry with strict cultural rules and hierarchies.
It's very difficult to be a female chef in Japan in general. That's not to say that they are not there. A lot of the female chefs in general, not just in Japan, are not really very vocal. They don't try to promote themselves very much.
For sushi chefs, it's even tougher to break through.
Some people don't want to eat sushi made by women. Those people won't come here. There are so many things, but I can't worry about it or I won't be able to continue my work.
Meet Fumie Miyoshi, the chef and owner behind the famous Sushi Take. The Edomae-style sushi chef trained under Kunihiro Shimizu, considered one of the best sushi masters of all time.
Of course, it was strict. But what my master used to often say, if you're training or if you're working, and if you're doing it, you'll master it.
She has become one of the most recognized sushi chefs in the upscale Ginza neighborhood of Tokyo. We brought Natsuko here to meet Fumie, and they quickly bond over shared experiences.
I loved the eel that she made. It moved me.
As they move past the food and delve into conversation, Natsuko asks Fumie about a moment that changed the way people look at her.
There's an interesting story. My hair was curly, and I was often told by Master Shimizu that I was not clean enough. So when I entered the sushi bar, my hair was quite long. I had to work from early in the morning until late at night, and don't have much time to take care of my hair. So one day, I suddenly shaved it. People around me took it as a good sign that I was enthusiastic. From that point, people began to see me as someone who could work hard and keep working.
She talked about how people didn't want to deal with her and how she overcame it. It was something I also experienced. In what is said to be a male-dominated society, women have to work much harder than men to be recognized. It was memorable when she said that people changed the way they looked at her after she cut her hair. I was really impressed by her mentality and strength.
Some people may discriminate against you, but others will support you. I believe if you keep working hard, you will be rewarded.
Other than Fumie, renowned female chefs, a few in Tokyo. Over the years, Natsuko has had to look hard for inspiration. She has found it, though, nearly 2,000 miles away in Hong Kong, with Tate Dining Room's Vicky Lau. We at Culinary Journeys first met Vicky in 2015. And since, she's earned another Michelin star, an even longer list of accolades, and opened a new restaurant dedicated to soy called Mora.
Oh my God, it has evolved so much over the years. It's always been a goal of ours to receive a 2 Michelin star, because I believe a restaurant needs to have something to look forward to, actually, to improve every day.
The two chefs met around 5 years ago and quickly became friends.
In a way, our food is very similar. We focus a lot on ingredients, but we also think dishes are like gifts, and it should look nice and on a plate. So she also focused quite a lot on that in her cake making and the way she presents her food in a very elegant way. And I think our food can go together very well.
She was originally a designer, and that sense of style can be seen everywhere. Of course, this is the case with cooking. She also sells sweets and designs the packaging for them. It's something a normal chef would not be able to get to. I don't think many women are that perfect.
For Natsuko, Vicky is an all-round role model, teaching her lessons beyond the kitchen.
After seeing her, I realized what was possible.
The pandemic reminded us of how important diet is to health. That's why the Ajinomoto Group is committed to solving health issues around the world at the dinner table. A real solution means never settling for less.
ถึงแม้ว่าจะต้องลดความเค็มในอาหารลงแต่เราก็ต้องไม่ละทิ้งความอร่อยเราต้องการให้ทุกท่านได้เพลิดเพลินกับรสชาติความอร่อยของอาหารไปพร้อมกับสุขภาพที่ดี
A saúde é importante, mas queremos considerar também o legado do sabor regional. Como podemos melhorar o balanço nutricional, mantendo o respeito à cultura gastronômica? Esse é o nosso desafio.
Tempat yang jauh pun bukan masalah. Kami selalu bisa menyediakannya. Kami terus mengupayakan dunia di mana siapapun bisa mengakses makanan bergizi dimanapun mereka berada.
We're here to provide nutritious meals to the entire world without compromising on taste, local ways of life, or accessibility, because that is nutrition without compromise.
Eat well, live well.
In Tokyo and Hong Kong, chefs Natsuko Shoji and Vicky Lau are cooking dishes that connect them.
It's not how salty, sugary, or soury it is, but actually the umami flavor that makes you say that something tastes really good.
Umami is also about who you're eating with, who made the dish, and where it was made. When you take in everything, that's the true influence of umami. Vicky once made scallops with kumquat sauce that was complex and full of flavor. I was really impressed. On my menu, I made my own using seasoned citrus fruits. They're salted and aged. It's different from Vicky's sauce, but I'm using the techniques she taught me.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, you?
Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Today, Natsuko and Vicky are catching up over video conferencing.
Can you see?
Yes, I can see. I think the first time when we met, we already immediately have a lot of common topic because being female chef in Asia, our problems are very similar.
When I visited your place the first time, when you showed the kitchen for us, and I found baby chair. 初めて Vicky.
When I first went to Vicky's restaurant, she showed me around, and right by the kitchen there was a baby chair. I was a little shocked, in a good way, to hear that she sometimes opens for business while taking care of her children. At the beginning, I didn't really think about having a family or having kids as a female chef. After seeing her, I realized what was possible.
Running a restaurant is very time-consuming, and I think there's only so much that you can do in a day, and you can focus at different things at different times. What I've learned is to really drown out the noise a little bit. We're really here to cook and create dishes and experiences. Natsuko has a very clear vision of what she wants. I think to keep that is very precious. And because of accolades, many people looking, I think you're on a good track.
And that track came down to one moment. March 29th, 2022 in Tokyo, at the annual gathering of the 50 best